Uranium is creeping into Nebraska's water supplies and it's worrying experts. So what's going on? Marty Strange kept adding the worrisome maps to file folder on his desk. Hastings veteran environment supervisor gathered the maps from a 200 square mile area surrounding the city. Aerial photos marked with dots whose size indicates how much uranium is found in the water supply. Some weeks those dots looked big to Strange, and some weeks the dots blew into giant bubbles, to a size that caused Strange's eyes to widen and prompted him to order additional testing. One irrigation well tested 322 parts per billion of uranium in 2011, more than 10 times the legal limit for drinking water set by the Environmental Protection Agency. And that well is located only 4 miles upstream of the municipal well. And Hastings' own well, those used to supply water drinking to city residents, saw significant jumps in uranium and radiation too, levels nearing the limit set for safe drinking water. It was like, oh no, it seemed like more than you look, the worse it gets, said Strange. Strange already had heard about high uranium levels in the groundwater in the Pelt River Valley, but had no idea why Hastings would see elevated uranium levels too. He called experts including Carrie Weber, a University of Nebraska Lincoln microbiology professor. And we can see the information right here. As Weber might have an answer, she dug deep, in fact, drilled 120 feet deep into the dirt below Hastings' water table to find out why. Water's just not water. Water's just a reflection of what those fluids pass through. And Nebraska experts like Weber, worried about the effect of uranium, are beginning to study how and why this naturally occurring heavy metal is leaching into our groundwater. They know that rocks inside Nebraska's aquifers contain uranium naturally, but why is the radioactive material in these rocks seemingly escaping into the water supply at higher levels? Weber and her team suspect nitrate at the levels of 10 parts per million. Legal limit releases uranium into the state's groundwater, which provides drinking water for roughly 85 of Nebraskans. As Flatwater Free Press previously reported, Nebraska's medium nitrate level has doubled since 1978, in part because of limited regulations from the state and local governments. The problem is costing medium-sized cities and small towns millions for water treatment and driving farmers, researchers, and policymakers to grasp for solutions. These experts are also worried about the composite effects of uranium and other minerals and agrochemicals on human health. And for the first time in Nebraska, they're studying the link between these combined contaminants, including nitrate and pediatric cancer. High levels of uranium can enter the bloodstream and lead to kidney damage and other health problems, scientists believe. And the EPA has set the maximum uranium level in drinking water at 30 parts per billion to prevent cancer risk potentially tied to chronic exposure to uranium. Some 24 community public water systems in Nebraska have detected uranium levels higher than the limit at least once since 2010, according to data provided by the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy. And the number of Nebraskans potentially affected by higher uranium levels in the drinking water may be higher than currently known. The state requires quarterly tests for only community public water systems that have already exceeded the EPA limit. Other community public water systems are tested far less often, sometimes once every 9 years. There's no testing requirements for private wells and wells not connected to public water systems. The rural Nebraskans who live outside the city limits have no idea if they're drinking water that contains high uranium. I don't know if we know where all of it could be an issue or where it's not, Weber said. How much uranium ends up in water hinges dependent on several facts: geology, the water's alkalinity, pH, and other chemicals that exist in the water. But the release of uranium in water is tied to human activity, said Dan Snow, lab director of the UN Water Center, who has tested water samples for 3 decades. We do have some hotspots in terms of uranium concentration in groundwater, and they tend to follow where we have a lot of irrigation, where we have a lot of fertilizer application. So this is definitely concerning, especially in this area, and seeing that uranium is getting into the water either by natural means or by man-made means. And that's why it's always a good idea to periodically test the water and do excavation like these individuals are doing.